let's get more specific about what is the worldview. If we can identify some of the at least essential features of the worldview that is presented and articulated at Burning Man.
Good question. It's hard to nail down specifics because the whole world is coming. You have every nationality that's represented. You have people coming who are atheists. You have people coming who are agnostic. You have spiritual seekers. I've run into people who are Muslim. Not a lot, but I've run into Muslims. I've run into a number of Mormons. And a lot of people who are just, they're nothing. Nonetheless, because I've done a lot of surveys at Burning Man, especially last year, I did a lot of surveys. Even, how do I put this? Even the atheists in the surveys, as you break down some of the worldview presented in the surveys, you realize that the atheists themselves have a spiritual sense to them. So an example, in my surveys, I have a place where you can put down your prior religions and philosophical positions and your present. And prior, it's almost always prior Christian, past Christian, now Wiccan, now New Age, now atheist, now agnostic. The list goes on. Then I have a series of statements, and one of the statements is to the effect of, do you agree or disagree that the earth is fundamentally alive? Which is a mythological position. It's Gaia, it's Mother Earth.
Yeah.
I think everyone who said they were an atheist, which means primarily that they're an atheist against the Christian faith, affirmed that the earth is fundamentally alive, which at that point says that, hold on, you're actually not an atheist from that perspective. You are a mythologist. You are involved in some form of pagan thinking. You're not that hardcore materialist atheist that we would think of in terms of, let's say, Bertrand Russell or, right, last century's atheists. You're a hybrid. And so you see that sense of that hybridization at Burning Man. In fact, it's a real interesting combination of material and mysticism, secularism and spirituality. It comes together. But the underlying, and you see this in the art, and you see this in the workshops, the underlying assumption is that we're all one, that there's that sense of oneness. Now, however you define how this is practically lived out will definitely be argued. But nevertheless, that sense of we're all connected, we're all one is certainly a prominent feature. And you'll see it in the art, you'll see it in the workshops. I was at a workshop hosted by a leading lobbyist looking to instill a new political framework or legal framework for nature, looking to give nature the same fundamental rights as humans. And so already, I believe he said Ecuador and Peru were looking at putting this into the Constitution, or already was in the Constitution, basically saying that, hey, ducks, fish, oak trees, people, it doesn't matter. You all have the same legal rights, and there's fundamentally no difference. And so he was very clear that we have, as human beings, no higher value than the dust that's rolling around in the tent. We have no higher value than the world of nature, because that's all we are. And he was very open about the sense that this is a sense of oneness. That's ultimately what this is. And this is now just being lived out and properly fleshed out in legal structures, giving law to this idea. So that sense of oneness is certainly a part of this. Again, every person coming will look at it a little bit differently for the most part, because it's an eclectic event. Everything is being presented.